Hello everyone and welcome. I'm the Rosellum aka Soul Reaver, and I will guide you through this tutorial on how to beat the final boss of Epic Battle Fantasy IV, the Godcat. If at any point you want to skip to a certain point of the video, I have annotations at the top that will skip you to either the preparation, phase 1, phase 2 or phase 3 of the fight. In order to prepare for the boss, you should first make sure that every single one of your characters is at least level 30, but every single level afterwards helps greatly in fighting the boss. If you want to fight the boss on higher difficulties, I recommend a lot higher levels. For example, to fight him on the highest difficulty, I probably recommend about level 35. In terms of skills, I recommend for Anna, combo shots as well as arrow rain, and a maxed reflexes. A maxed refresh can also help greatly. For Matt, I recommend a maxed Cleaver and Ragnarok, a maxed Legend, a maxed Holy Sword and Temper, and a maxed Swift Slash. For Nats, I recommend a maxed Charm, a maxed Pulsar, a maxed Judgment, and both of their ultimates maxed. You'll probably need both of these, depending on situation. And for Lance, which I plan on not using in this battle, I recommend having a maxed Antimatter and a maxed Unload. A maxed Medipack can also help a lot if you need to heal someone. Also, a maxed Hyper Beam can also help situationally, even though it takes 2 turns to charge and you'll probably be under heavy fire most of the time. If you can get a Hyper Beam off at the right time, you can wipe off an entire wave and it'll help you a lot. Specials wise, I recommend certain specials, but it does not matter who has them. They just need to be spread out over the characters so you're not reliant on one character. The most important part is though that you should have a heal more on a character that can easily heal everyone up. For example, Nats with a level 6 heal more is enough to heal everyone up to full with the amount of magic attack that I have on my Natalie. Also, I recommend a max revive. Cleanse and Purify can help in many situations. A max barrier. Sometimes Debilitate can come in handy if you have 3 turns. Also max Dispel. And also max Protect. The most important here are Protect, Dispel, Barrier, Heal More and Revive. And you should definitely make sure that you can use all of these correctly. The bosses use a very wide array of magic damage, however the most powerful attacks are Holy and Dark type. That is why my equipment mostly focuses on making sure I have Holy and Dark type resistances on my 3 main characters. You can also opt to just take gear that is just good against one of these types and just switch them around to some other gear that is good against the other type, if you want to. However, since my level is high enough and I'm playing this on normal, I do not need to do this. Your weapon choice should focus on 2 types of weapon. First, a weapon that is good against Holy, and a weapon that is good against Dark. So you need a Holy weapon and a Dark weapon, both upgraded to fully and ready to use. For example, Fenrir's Jar and Black Widow on Anna, Anarchy and Heaven's Gate on Matt, Hela's Staff and Seraphim for Natalie, and Shadow Blaster and Godhand for Lance. Some of these characters have multiple weapons of the same type. For example, Matt has Anarchy and Devil's Sunrise, which is both Dark type. Which type of weapon you should choose depends on whatever you want to use. For example, I prefer to have a lot of attack, so I just go with the Anarchy, even though I lose tons of defense. One final note though, the very first enemy you will fight in this boss fight is Holy type. So before you start the boss fight, you want to make sure that each of your characters has a Dark type weapon equipped, so you don't need to switch them in the fight. Once you are prepared enough, it's time to fight the boss. The boss fight will start out with both of the Godcat's halves just floating around, and as earlier in the game when you tried to fight them, you cannot actually hurt them, you just have to survive for about 3 rounds and then they'll go away and the next wave will start, which will be the proper first phase of the fight. Because of all of this, you just take this time and try to buff up as much as possible. Both of the halves have incredible damage on their single target nukes, so if a character does not have certain immunities or defenses against like Holy or Dark, you might just die. For example, Nats is my only character who does not have Holy type defense, and you'll see that she just gets one shot just a little bit here. So you should just take this time, make sure to get all the buffs. You have Reflex, you have Protect, you have Barrier, you have Temper from Nat, and Charm from Nats. So you can just keep all those buffs up. If someone dies, just resurrect them. It's not that bad if that happens. Just make sure that everyone is alive and as buffed as possible when the next wave starts. After 3 rounds have happened, the next wave will start, which will be the first proper phase of the boss fight. It'll feature the Creator. This will have 2 of his arms and 2 crystals. The wave starts out with the Creator getting all the turns, so you'll just have to survive the first bit of onslaught from all of him and all of his little pets on his side as well. If you're buffed enough, this should be quite easy to survive. Now, as soon as this happens, and you get your turns, now it's time to get your big AoE ultimates gone. All the limit breaks that do area of effect damage, like Ragnarok here, is incredibly useful here since you can wipe out everything and just leave the Godcat, who will then also be damaged by a lot. Apart from this, just keep on healing, and the most important part about this fight is now, all the phases are very similar in that you have a boss in the middle, or 2 bosses at some point, and a little adds and little pets on the side. And the important part is that as soon as the round starts, you want to make sure that you can nuke all the pets and all the adds away in like 1 or 2 sweeps, so that as soon as the boss gets turns, he's the only one who gets turns, and he has no one on his side that gets turns. Also, if the Creator starts out with charging on his first turn and then unleashing a Holy Beam on his second turn. Here I used Revive on Nats to give her auto revive to survive this attack. Well, he didn't survive, but he instantly got resurrected afterwards. It also Siphon. You can try to give them flares or give them certain equips that make them immune to Siphon, but in my case I just put them on item duty in case this happens, and just rather have something else equipped instead. But if you feel like you have problems with Siphon, you might want to equip something so you don't get siphoned all the time. Also, the boss will buff himself when he's charging. Also, other of his adds will buff him from time to time. So this is the point where Dispel comes in handy, but Dispel, even on max level, sometimes misses the boss, so you should still always have a backup. Also, if you're in situations like this where everyone is a little bit down, and you could just use a heal more, or you could use Nat's Limit Break Hyun to get everyone back up and also buff them. This is also even more now the perfect time to use more of your ultimates and limit breaks. Also, in case you have the Cosmic Monolith summon, this is the perfect time to use this summon. If you don't know where to get the summon, I made another video how to fight the glitch boss and how to beat him. And after you fought the glitch boss, you will get the Cosmic Monolith summon. Here I'm also using Swift Slash after Anna's Power Shot, which is a special ultimate, special limit break that I taught her. Both of these are enough to wipe everyone out, and then we can just heal and keep on going. As you will see in this fight, I'm always able to kill off all of the adds in 1 or 2 swipes, and then just keep on doing damage to the boss while doing this. If only the boss gets turned and you have buffs like Protect or Barrier or even Reflex, then you will have a very high chance of survival for all your characters. The only real problem you can have with this first phase is that you get overwhelmed. You have a lot of adds that don't die. Like, if you have all of the adds survive a turn, that is very bad, and you should still always make sure that you can defeat those. Once again, the Cosmic Monolith is great here. It will almost always wipe out everything but the boss. As you can see, my Anarchy does so much damage that with Swift Slash it just destroys everything. Also, by the way, this is on normal difficulty. But I do so much damage that even on the most hardest difficulty, they probably all die as well. Also, noting that the Godcat himself, or herself rather, uses mostly holy, but also other types like thunder, for example. So you could just try and spread out your defenses a little bit, because the other Godcat who comes up after this uses also a whole bunch of elements. So you could just try and defend against every single element, but I personally just like to focus on Holy and Dark, since Holy and Dark are the most powerful of their attacks. Now, after the creator's been destroyed, another phase of the two halves just floating around will start. So it means more healing, more buffing, and also, importantly, which I'm gonna do after this turn, all your characters should have dark type weapons right now, and this is now the perfect time to actually go ahead and change all your characters' equip. The next boss you will fight does tons of physical damage and tons of dark damage. So you'll now try and switch around, so you have more physical defense, you have dark type defense, and most importantly you have holy type weapons. In my case, since I am playing on normal and I don't have a whole lot of difficulties with this boss fight, I don't just switch out all of my equipments, I just switch out the weapons. But if you're playing on higher difficulties, you probably want to switch out your entire equipment to accommodate for all the changes. Once again, just keep everyone buffed up, but also you should have tons of pizza by now, and also you need tons of coffee and items in general. But if you're powerful enough, the items will not be that important. But I should recommend that you use some pizza on here. Since the rest of the game is not too hard if you are prepared enough, you should probably have tons of coffee and pizza at this point anyway. Now this is the second phase of the fight, where we'll see the Destroyer, the dark half of the Godcat. As mentioned earlier, this fight uses a lot of physical type damage dealing abilities and also dark type abilities. Even a lot of his spells are not spell damage but physical damage, so Protect is a must at this fight. Just like phase 1, you want to make sure that you can wipe out all of his ads in 1 or 2 swipes. And even on the most hardest difficulty, this should be possible if you are prepared enough. Don't focus too much on the boss, just make sure that the ads die. That is priority number 1. For example, right here, my most powerful ability is Pulsar, which hits everyone. But since they are all dark type, I use a non-elemental attack to get rid of them. But usually that's not something that happens. Also, you can use other abilities like maybe like Thunderstorm, Firestorm, or Ice Storm if you need to get rid of all of them. The problem here is that you have a very high damage dark type ability, which is Pulsar, but your holy type ability is only hits 1. So you need to switch around there. Also, something else that you can use after the creator, you probably used some limit breaks. So now for the Destroyer, all your limit break bars, or most of them, should be empty. So you can use a chili sauce, which you saw me do on Matt, so you can use his ultimates again. Also, if you use holy type weapons, as you see, skills like Judgment for Nats does incredible damage. Was it called Judgment? I think it was called Judgment. So you'll be able to do incredible amounts of damage to the boss. And Ragnarok is especially useful here. It does incredible damage to all of the enemies. And it is holy type. As you can see, they get proper demolished by it. If you have to, you can just use as much chili sauce as you want to. Just try and make sure to spread them out accordingly so you don't run out of them when you need them. But don't be afraid to use it if you need to get rid of all of them. After all of this, there will be another little phase in between. This is time for you to just go ahead and buff up, get everyone back up going. Also something you can do on the bosses is you can bring up your backup, and if your backup has full limit break, which I don't have on Lance, but if your backup has full limit break, you can just bring him in, use limit break, and then switch him back out again. Also something to note is that the destroyer likes debuffing all your stats. You can also do, for example, HP debuff, so your maximum HP gets debuffed. Just fight against the debuffs, keep destroying all the ads as quickly as possible, and you should be able to get to the final phase of the boss fight, which is coming up in just a little bit. In the final phase of the boss fight, you will fight both the Destroyer and the Creator at once. They also have a little bit of pets around them. For example, you see they have like a Holy Claw and the Dark type Claw next to them. This means that you can't just try and kill them all. You should just try and kill as much as possible and focus on one of the bosses. Usually it's a good idea to focus on the Dark Godcat, since you should still have all your Holy type weapons, and you could either spend a turn trying to switch all your weapons around, or you just take the turn doing something else and just keep your Holy weapons and then fight the Destroyer. You should also have another chili sauce on Matt ready, so you can use Ragnarok again and destroy everything and deal tons of damage to the Dark type Godcat. Ragnarok is probably your best bet in this fight, but sometimes when you have other characters taking care of the ads, you can also use Cleaver for maximum damage on one target. Also, if you use skills that, like Temper on Matt, that is incredibly powerful in conjunction with his ultimate, since it does way more damage. Also, you can use some of your summons right here. For example, you could theoretically use the Cosmic Monolith, but the Cosmic Monolith heals the Dark type Godcat. So in my case, I'm trying to kill the Dark type Godcat, so I'm not taking the Cosmic Monolith, I'm rather taking the Protector, which also does incredible damage and is also very, very powerful in taking all of the ads. Protector not only dispels them, which is great because they keep buffing themselves, it also does explosion damage, which is very great against not only the bosses but the claws as well. So you can also, if you ever run out of anything to kill the claws with, or the ads in general, you can just use the summon Protector, and that will take care of them. Also, it is very important that throughout all of this, you make sure that you have your Protect and Barrier as powerful as possible. And if they ever run out and you have a limit break on Natalie, you might just try and use Kyun to get all of your abilities back up again. Not your abilities, your buffs. Here I'm just trying to use Cleaver and hope that it hits the claws, but after it kills the Destroyer, he switches to the other Godcat, which does no damage, which is a bit sad that he didn't decide to attack the claws, but whatever. I should have used Ragnarok in this case. Once one of the Godcats is destroyed, the rest of the fight should be a lot easier, since it's just one of the other phases. But you might be very low on health and all your buffs might be gone, so you should always have something on the backhand and make sure that you don't get into a situation where you have nothing left. Also, something very great to use is if you feel like you are gonna die or lots of your party members are dead, you should always make sure that you have Genesis ready for Nats, which is another limit break. Not only does it do incredible damage against the Dark type Godcat and the Claws, it also gives auto-revive to every one of your characters if they are alive, and revives them if they are dead. It also heals the Godcat that is holy, but that is a risk that is good to take if you're trying to take down the Dark Godcat anyway. Also, it is always more important to survive than to deal damage, which is the main reason why destroy all the ads as quickly as possible. Also, you saw me switch out 2 of my characters to dark type weapons. If you feel like you are very safe, you can switch out weapons right now. But if you think like you don't have the turns to switch out your weapons and you rather need to survive, just make sure to survive. That is the most important part. Just survive, and if you are safe, deal damage. And with many buffs, Legend with the right weapon deals tons of damage to the boss. Remember to use your most damaging abilities that I said earlier during the preparation time, and you should be able to get through this. Use all your abilities. Use all your coffees. You should have around 30 of them. Use pizza if you need to, and you should be able to get through this. Also, something to note is quickly in higher difficulties, I think on Legendary, if the creator is on low health, he will use, I think, absolute 0 limit break. So you need to make sure that at least one of your character can survive a very high damage ice type nuke. And if the destroyer is on very low health, he will use a fire type limit break. I forgot what it's called, supernova, I think. So you want to make sure that at least one of your characters has a very high amount of fire defense for that. Also remember that you can just switch around during the fight. Yeah, well, that was it. You should be able to do this with this guide, and I hope you enjoyed that.